What's up guys, Steve again from RC Tanks and Trucks 24/7. This guy, the double E, what am I thinking? 1/8 scale, ready to run, monster truck, not even a monster truck, it's a crawler. It's got a lot of views, a lot of interest, and for good reason. It's $200 or $220 US now, and it's a ready to run, like I said, 1/8 scale crawler. Not many 1/8 scale crawlers around. The other one's a traction hobby, I believe, but that's, you know, 5 times the price probably this guy, but in all due fairness, it is awesome piece of kit. This one, as you can see, it has a beautiful Land Rover Defender body, which is fully licensed as well. It's Lexan, it's got opening and closing doors, the bonnet, the boot, it's got magnetic hatches here, it holds up everything. I've got a lot of questions about this. I broke it in my previous video, a simple fix. I spoke to the manufacturer as well about it, and everything should be all dandy and moving forward. But in this video, I wanted to answer a lot of the questions that you guys put in my previous 2 videos, and hopefully we can clear some air and show you some good news. And especially there's one that a lot of people wanted to know that it can be done, and it can be done, and it's at the end of the video. So stick around for that, because it's probably the best fun there is. So cheers guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let's go. Alright, in the previous video you would have seen me running it. I've done an unboxing and a running video, and there was a kind of a clicking noise and a popping noise. Part of that was the slipper clutch, which is right there. You can tighten that up if you would like, but the bigger issue was when it lost front drive, because the telescopic shaft, or the center section of the shaft, popped out. Not too sure how, but it did, and I managed to pop it back in. But I've run it since then, and what has happened, I'm just giving you a nice honest review, is, if I can get focus on there, the center sleeve, which runs in between that drive, popped out because I believe the little ring around the outside that holds that pin in popped off, as you can see on the rear one. And this isn't just specific to this car. I've had it happen to a lot of other cars, so it's not just this car, but that ring must have popped out, causing that sleeve, the pin to have not be captured, slide out, and then what happens is that pin slides out, and then the larger one inside it that holds it all together slips out, and then you lose complete drive. So as you can see, I got no drive at all, but everything else from the back works. You can hear it. So what I thought I might do whilst it's out of action, and I contacted Double E, and they have been really helpful. They are going to see if they can change anything with this, if there needs to be any adjustments, but they said no problem, we'll get the parts out and we'll make sure that gets fixed, and they will have parts availability as well on their website. So that is good to know. So what I thought I might do in this video, show you what happened, do a little follow-up. Had a few questions about if you can adjust or spin the motor from the back to the front, what are the gears made up of inside, or what material are the gears inside? Obviously they're metal, and we'll just go through it again and have a look maybe at the internal gearbox as well, the center gearbox as well. So let me get the camera up there and we'll have a closer look. Okay, I got the body off. One of the questions was, can it run LiPo battery? Yes, it can, and it can run up to, I have a 3S battery here, just a small one, but just for demonstration purposes, 11.1 volt LiPo battery, and yes, it can run it, no issues whatsoever. I don't think it has a LiPo cutoff. I haven't heard anything, or haven't read it anywhere, so just be mindful of that. But yes, it can run a 3S, and the performance will increase. But yeah, the performance is okay. It's going to be a bit lackluster, which is because of the 2-in-1 ESC. That's one of the recommendations I have actually forwarded to Double E, is maybe moving forward, make it a separate ESC and receiver pack, and also make it waterproof and, well, LiPo cutoff ready and all that kind of good stuff, because a lot of guys want that, and that should be standard, I believe, from the get-go. So first question, yes, it can run LiPo, yes, it can run 3S. I don't think it has a LiPo cutoff, so just bear that in mind. Now the question that I got was, does it come with the full interior? Yes, what you see here is how it comes straight out of the box. If you watch my unboxing video, that's exactly how it comes. So you can see it's got some nice interior detail. you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Should be down below, I'll leave the link if it's not. But everything you see here is how it comes. So these aren't stickers, you can see. So these are actually little plastic caps. These door handles are, you know, all plastic. Even the interior there in the door panels are how it comes. And it's a good thing about it, they have a little clasp, as you can see, like a little press fit just there, that locks it into place. So it doesn't just flap around in the breeze, but yep, what you see is what you get. And I do believe there was some there are some other models from EE which are cheaper but nowhere near look as good. I've noticed there's a couple ones that look a little bit more toyish, and yeah, they are nowhere near as good looking as this, I believe. Also magnets at the top and here that latch it all together nicely, and it is fully licensed by Land Rover as well, so you're going to get a very authentic looking body. So people are saying, oh, it can't be they've copied it. No, they haven't. They have actually a license to produce this body, and have done a damn good job about it as well. So very happy with it. You could do a lot of cool interior, or maybe like FPV inside there. That'd be pretty cool. Or you can paint it up, make it a little bit more snazzy as well. Now, yes, it's not Lexan. It is also hard body as well. And due to the size, and we'll have a look underneath, it'll be very difficult, I think, to fit on a traditional chassis, like a 1/10 scale axial, just because it is, well, 1/8. As you can see, everything is quite sealed to a degree from the elements, so you could, you know, nothing really gets dirty inside from the mud and stuff, because it does have its own really, you know, fenders and all that kind of stuff inside. But you could also add a little bit more lights. As you can see, it's got light buckets at the front here as well, so it's only running the headlights, but you could also run like running lights, headlights, and blinkers and hazards and all that kind of good stuff. It's got a lot of opportunities here, a lot of room for activities, one could call it. One could quote the Step Brothers. So it's a very cool looking body. Now, someone in the comments mentioned that it would look much better if you could actually lower, if I could actually get it on, lower the actual body, because it sits quite high, and that might be an opportunity, or might be a possibility, sorry. But it's got these little standoffs, as you can see, just there, one here at the front, one here as well. So it's got two there, and also there's two, one there, one. So they've got 6 standoffs that locate into these locating, well, dowels, I guess, as you can see, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and 2 on either side of the chassis. So that might be an option, or you might be able to just lower the suspension and see how that runs, because this is all stock. There's obviously going to be downsides, or well, not say downsides, but parts that are going to be missed quality-wise. The chassis rails, the C-channel, they are realistic C-channel frames. They are metal, but these suspension, what are they called? Sorry, suspension mounts are all plastic. And you'll notice in the kit that this is the front of the car. It says left, right, but at the back it says right, left. But rest assured that is the right way. It's just how that is. Now, one thing that you couldn't change is all the aftermarket accessories, like for the 1/10 bumpers and stuff, because of the width of the channel inside here. So that's something to consider. But you might be able to use this body, or vice versa, on the Founder. That looks like that's a bloody fabulous 1/8 scale car. That's a true top quality, top notch 1/8 scale crawler. So yeah, I'm not too sure. You could maybe interchange parts, but this bumper from a distance looks quite nice, but all these are all just, that's one molded piece, like this winch. But I'm not saying that you couldn't cut it out or retrofit something as well. It was just racking my brain. It was the I think it was Basil asked that if the body could fit the Traction Hobby 1/8 scale Jeep Founder. So that's it. I always get that name. I always forget that name for some reason. But let's look at some more questions and see if we can answer them for you guys. Another question I got was, what is the outer diameter of these wheels? So I got my super quality 1 meter tape measure, and it says here pretty much overall diameter is 3 inches, or 76mm thereabout, and it's got a standard 6mm nut there as well. But like I mentioned in the unboxing video, the outer section, this part is like stamped steel or aluminium, and its inner section is plastic, so it's like a two-piece system, and they are bead-locks. So what I want to do, I'll take this wheel off, let's take both off, and I want to get to this front diff or front axle, and obviously they're both the same internals. We'll see how they look inside and see what they're made out of. But foam inserts, obviously, before, because I ran it in water, I squeeze all the water out, that's always important. Yeah, let's have a look, see what the quality is inside, and quickly, I do like how these little covers are pushed on, and there's a small thread inside there which threads on to the shaft there, so you're not going to lose them, they're not just press fit, so they actually screw on and they screw off. So it has some nice little qualities I like about it, like it might be cheap, but it's you know, they've got a skimp here and there, but overall they've done a pretty damn good job considering the size of it. And yes, it's supply and demand. I do believe the price has gone up $20 since I posted the video, but that's out of my control, guys. I put a little link there, like an affiliate link. If you buy through there, I get a small commission. Helps me out, helps me on the channel, helps me get more products to review for you guys. But yeah, it doesn't cost you anything extra. It just helps me out if you do purchase from there. So that's with a lot of my links. But regardless, I still like to be honest. I could not show this video at all and say nothing happened and I fixed it and there was no issues whatsoever, but that wasn't the case. So there, as you can see, it's obviously got ball bearings. It's packed of some shmoo, AVE would say, but that's just part of the foam from the packaging that bloody goes everywhere. But if I can get it in shot, there it is there, basic drive system, no dog bones, but it is priced at what it is, and it seems to be right. Hex heads everywhere, which is good. No Phillips heads apart from the 6 holding the body on, but seems to be a small leakage here through the shock, but it still retains. I did overfill those a little bit, so there might be a bit of leakage from my part. No one likes leakage. So I get that other wheel off. Let's see how this all goes together. Now it's basic, all these type of trucks are all very similar, I guess, how they're put together, how this whole system works. 4-link here. So yeah, and one thing I'm noticing that there isn't much rust, because I did run it in water. Not much rust at all. These, they're just scratched, but I'm not too sure if they're stainless or stainless, obviously maybe coated, because there's not much rust on them at all, and pretty much none of the hardware has it at all. So that is pleasing to see. Now I'll get this other one off, get these 3 more off, disconnect the shocks, and then we should be able to crack inside there and see what makes her tick. And I guaranteed they're not going to be someone said, oh, they're plastic because of the price. I don't think so. And just before I forget, the total outer diameter of the tire there is just on just under 5 inches. So you could run, I guess, a large, yeah, you could run your, 1/10 scale ones on there. Just the rims won't look as scale, but it might look better. I might try that later on. And it is a standard 12mm X there as well, so you could run them no problem whatsoever. Now there we go. I've disconnected it all. Looking all dandy. It does look quite scale. All this is plastic. Got universal joints there as well. But I can tell you that it has got some oil in there. But what we'll do, we'll get into inside this and see how it is. Now a lot of you guys hopefully like these videos, because like I mentioned before, I could say it's all fine and dandy, but truth of the matter, it's not always the case, is it? So let me find the right size. Hope this isn't stripped. Come on. Let me find it. Righty. Now, of course, this might be downside to cheaper kits. I'll just change the lighting because it was too glary, so sorry about that. But yeah, strip that screw, so the quality of the screws aren't, well, the hardware is not going to be as good. Now, so I went ahead and undid the screws that hold the pumpkin in, and we can just open this guy up and see what beholds what we have lying underneath here. There we go. There we go. So, we do have, obviously there'll be powdered metal gears, but it's still metal. But here's the one downside, or the disadvantage of the cheaper kits. It has oil impregnated bushings, no bearings, but it doesn't say it doesn't have bearings everywhere. As you can see in the knuckle here, it does have bearings there. So it's got, obviously got two bearings, one inner and one outer, like any other kit. That also does have grease. As you can see, there is your shafts there. So left and right are exactly the same. So far so good. Nothing really bad there, but what I'll do, let's pop this one out, and then we can pop this whole diff out. I don't want to do a diff because it's locked, but what we can do is get inside here and see how these look. So it does have grease, which is good. It's not dry, which would suck. But I could tell when it rolls, you can kind of tell if it's dry, like the desert in there. But pretty good. So another question answered. Are the gears metal? Yes. Does it have ball bearings? Yes and no. But something that you could not replace. Now, on the question of the diffs and axles and all that kind of good stuff, I don't believe you could be able to swap it out with a 1/10 scale stuff. It's just the scale is too big. You know, when you look at the wheelbase and the width, it just I don't think it would work. But you might be able to change the drive shaft components. That's what I mean. Obviously, it's locked, so there'll be nothing in here. But this, I want to have a look in here and see how that's worked. So obviously it's keyed on both sides, drops in, and that's all there is to it. So that's a benefit of a locked diff, is there's no real moving parts inside. So as you can see, nothing to it. I'm going to close it all back up because there is nothing more to see. So happy about that. At least this gear is metal. The pinion gear there is metal, as you can see. That should be able to pop out and not have to worry about that bloody grub shoe. It's a pain in the ass to get it out, but that should just pop out. No problem whatsoever. But let me just, to ease myself as well, I'm going to see, let me get a 1/10 scale. Let's see the difference. We have an RGT, and you can just see overall it's just much larger. Everything in general is bigger. So the housing, the length, the width, the girth, everything's going to be much bigger. But I think you might be able to get away with upgrading to different, you know, the drive shafts, center, front and rear drive shafts with some nice steel units, because all the internal parts, like where the splines and stuff, they should all be the same. And sometimes with the telescopic drive shaft, it gives you that extra length, which might just be enough to utilize a 1/10 scale stuff onto the 1/8 scale. So that answers another question. So yeah, ball bearings and oil impregnated bushings, and I lost a bushing already, but I'll find it. What I'll do, there it is. I'm going to put this guy back together, put some nice marine grease in here, get it all nice and juicy, and flip it back over, put that back together, and then we'll have a look at the gearbox and the motor. Okay, that's all back together. Obviously missing the drive shaft part, but I'm waiting for that to come in. Funny thing is, it's also got a metal steering horn, so it's another plus. No plastic, all metal. Everything went together good. So far happy with the internals there and the metal gears, which I was expecting. Just it has bushings, but they are normal size bearings, so you can just easily replace those, and bearings are a dime a dozen, cheap as. Funny thing with these cars, these cheaper cars get so much more views than the expensive ones. Like, you know, this has got some of the highest views of any of my content lately, and it's, you know, I think it's intriguing that people just love the sub $200 range kind of cars and what you get for your money. You know, this later at the end of this month, I believe we will be getting the raminator in, and that thing is a damn beast. So that'll be interesting to see what views we get compared to these, you know, because yeah, I don't know if you don't know what the raminator is, go check it out. It's pretty much a 1/5 scale CNC'd, all American designed 1/5 scale behemoth, and we're looking forward to getting into that. But anyway, that's another video. I digress. So a few questions answered there. Next ones are going to be in regards to this center the center drive unit, gearbox, 2-speed transmission and motor. So it's got 2 screws down here which I just took off. They're pretty anemic, but that it is what it is. Now here's another 2 here that's connected to the rails here. There's a much longer, and if you didn't see one of my other videos of unboxing, I had to notch out this because the motor was sitting like a bit of an angle, like it was sitting up like that, and it was basically the black or the negative wire was touching the center plastic brace and just forcing it up. So, you know, you wouldn't see that on like an axial or TFL or something like that, but that's just something to pay attention and be wary of. But at the same time, it is an easy fix. So that was that. Well, that's easy. Pull that out. What's holding it? So here we go. We got the center 2-speed transmission here. So let me know if you guys like this type of videos as well. Working on the cars, not always cutting out of the you know, jumping from one shot to the next. If you actually want to see what's going on, I'll fix that later on. Okay, so that should be able to come out, which it is. Get rid of those cable ties. One cable tie. But because there was so many views and so many people asking about it, there hasn't really been many videos about, well, internally, what makes it tick. I thought, you know what, perfect opportunity for me to do it. But there is a chassis without the internals, so you definitely could. I guarantee you'd probably be able to get like an axial or from a Jeep or something like that running gear and make it work in here. Definitely, because it just looks standard size, just a little bit bigger. And there's a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver, which I've already spoken to them about it, see if they can rectify that and change it up and get something 2-in-1, waterproof, and included LiPo cutoff. Handy as. While we're at it, there's your small little micro servo. That's just for the gear change. That is a JX servo as well. So interesting. So it does have 2 branded servos. It has a JX all metal geared, not too sure if it's waterproof, steering servo, and it also does have a small JX micro servo. It is 1109 HB digital servo. So that's good. It's not just a Jinglish brand. It's actually a decent, well, a brand name, to say the least. So let's crack inside here. It's held on. So there's your slipper clutch. So in the video, the running video, I think that was not tight enough. But if you ever want to tighten it, you can just obviously hold it down, give it a few. You need to lock the motor down so you can actually not spin. But as you can see, there's a fair bit of movement in there once it's all taken apart. So yeah, let's crack into her. I'm interested as you guys are as well. So I think this will be the weakest link in regards to where the cost cutting is coming from. Just the plastics don't feel as good. The rest of the car feels feels fine. I was always curious about this transmission. So here we go. Let's have a look what we have in here. Okay, all right. Now, we have a plastic spur, but that's nothing to be alarmed of. A lot of more expensive kits have plastic spur, so no issues there. Main thing is it does have grease, which is good to see. The teeth have still got a lot of give on them. The pinion gear, that is metal, so you've got nothing to worry about there. Metal pinion, so nicely done. Does have Loctite on there, which we found out on the front pinion there on the diff, but there's your adjustment. You can always adjust the mesh if you need to, but from factory it is all ready to rock and roll. And this motor is quite large. It's a 550 it says here, so let's double check that. Let's get a tape measure. It's a bit longer, it's just under, yeah, we'll call it 550, so 55 or 50, yeah, about that, 55 mil, whatever, and roughly 35 in diameter. So that is the motor, just a basic brush motor. You'd definitely be able to change it over with another brand if you want. This is, for example, there's a basic brushless motor. So this is very similar size. That's a 3000 kV. So you could definitely put a brushless motor in there, but you've got to think of the internals and how much punishment that can take. So as you can see, there is a motor mount. So it's got a little bit of flex. So that's all I was concerned about. But maybe that's why it has a slipper clutch to kind of help mitigate any issues that might arise from that. Now, let's get in to the transfer case. So the transfer case is just here. Now hopefully I don't strip this grub screw. We might not need to. Let's have a look. That one is much easier, thankfully, because these are a pain in the you know what to get out if you strip them. But here we go. Let's have a look. It's holding on. There we go. Okay. So same with the front and rear axles. We have a mixture. It seems to have, just bushings all around, it seems. These internal gears, these are not metal. No, they're not. They are plastic. But like I said, I've seen that before with more expensive kits. So they are fat. They're just under. They look around about a centimetre or 10 millimeters in height. So that's pretty good. It does have grease, which is a bonus. That's always handy. Some of these cheaper kits will have just basic, well, hardly any lube whatsoever. So that is that. So there's a transfer case. If you've seen a transfer case, that's all it basically is. Transfers it from there, down there, into there. So I think we can put this back on and we can actually look inside the 2-speed transmission as well. Before we do that, I always like to put this is marine grease. I just put a dab of this. I always like it. I run it in my boats, in my crawlers, in pretty much anything. And there we go. She's nice and lubed. So remember, longer screws up top, smaller ones at the bottom. I'll bring you back when we're up to the other part. Okay, now to get further into the gearbox, you need to pull off the spring for the slipper clutch, and I've just done that off camera. Once you do that, you can pull that off, and there's your slipper pad there. Nothing out of the ordinary, put that aside. There's 2 screws here, one hiding behind that spur that you have to take off. So take that off. And there's one here. so far. Just make sure they're the same sizes. Don't be putting a long screw straight through the internal gears there. That'll be nice. That'll be interesting. Fun video. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. Let me get 2 hands on this, and we can see inside. So interesting. Okay, so plastic gear, another bushing. Pleasing that's got grease. Another gear there, and here is the shifting mechanism. That it seems to be slid down like a barrel, so if we can pull that out we will, if not without breaking stuff. So it looks very like it's very similar to the Tamiya style. Quality won't be as good, but here we go. So it's got a, you can see down the belly there, another bushing that goes down. You can pull this barrel out. Come on. There's a shifting. There's a little shifting fork there. This whole system. Oh, that's why. We need to disconnect this guy. Come on. I'm glad I got it on film so I can see which direction it goes. So it basically goes that way. And there's a shifting fork which is there. If I can get this guy off. Then we'll be right. There we go. Now you'll be able to slide this mechanism out of here and see it for you guys. So that's going to engage with the gear. It's going to move forward and backward with that small micro servo, and this guy's in there pretty good, but there's just one more gear in there with that little teeth on there as well. That's all it is. But it has grease, but what I will do, I definitely will add some marine grease, just a smear. I don't know how good that quality is, but I do know this stuff is fairly good because I use it all the time. So we slide that puppy back in there. And not too worried about the resistance. We're not racing these cars, so it doesn't worry about if it increases some of the resistance. More so for protection and helps with water ingress and all that kind of stuff. So I pulled all that out so you can see what is in there. Now the fun part is if I can put it back together. But I don't want to bore you with that. I'm just glad I got in there and glad I could show you the internals of this car to answer a few more questions. So no bearings inside the gearbox itself, but it does have, what's pleasing to see, it does have Loctite on the pinion. That is metal. All these gears here are plastic. And I do believe if you didn't want to use a 2-speed, you can swap it out with another, like an axial branded center transmission. And just to prove I put it all back together, it all works and spins. Now I'll give you a quick demonstration. So that'll be in low or high gear. As you can see, I'm turning the drive shaft there, and when it shifts it's going to move that little fork, and that should be neutral. There'll be nothing will be spinning there. And then if I push it again, which would activate with a little servo, this one will start spinning. Cause it's not spinning now because it's just slipping off, but you'll be able to see there. So that's all it is. So that just moves it up and down and connects with those little, what's it called? I know it's called something specific, but yeah, pretty simple, pretty ingenious, and it works. But time for me to close it all back up. Running good so far. I haven't lost anything. Okay, I managed to put it all together, and I got a surprise for you guys. This was the most requested topic. Can you put or change the gearbox so the motor is at the front? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. A little bit of modding, you can. Now, modding not for the chassis itself, I'll show you right now. I was doing it off camera. I'm thinking, oh, can it be done? Yes or no? And it's very easy. All you need to do is flip this around, just spin it around. So as you can see, the motor is now at the front, where it was here. Now people might want to say, why you want to do that? Well, it gives you the opportunity to run larger batteries. For example, argument's sake, let's drop the body. This is a bit extreme. There's an 8,000 milliamp 4S battery. Now, obviously the body goes on, you need to fit that inside the body now, but you could run larger batteries, gives you better weight distribution on the back wheels, and it, yeah, so it just gives you that option. The front, still got a little bit of weight at the front now because of the motor, but now, all you need to do, another simple mod, the cross member here, which is plastic, you need to notch it out, just so that motor sits flat, just like the rear one here has this notch from factory, as you can see, because the motor sits into it. I've cut that little piece out extra for that black, for the negative wire. You can't use that piece of the front because that is one whole piece. Well, you might be able to, but that's all it is. So that might be a game changer for you guys. Everything just flips. You just flip it around. Reason why it works is from the center here to the axles, front and rear, it's 6 inches approximately. So it just flips, everything just works around, and it's so easy to do. There is 3 screws. I've just got a couple out because I'm still working on it. 1, 2, 3 on the other side. Take it up, spin it around, and everything will work. And even, obviously, because it's the same mounting positions, the servo here for the shifting mechanism works, everything works as it should. Super pumped. Now, what's the downside? I just kicked that door off, but what's the downside? Well, the downside is, actually it's good I took that door off, because you need to do a little bit of hacking. Now if I get my little light, you can see there, you need to cut out a bit of the tunnel inside the car so it sits flat. Otherwise that protrudes into it and it makes the body not sit true. That's all you need to do. That's all there is. Now if I take the body off and I show you, that's what I've done. As you can see, hacked it a bit. It's like hacking into the firewall of a car, because this sits proud into the body, into there. So you don't really see it once the body's on. But to answer the question, that was the most common asked question. Can it be moved? I believe, and yes it can. So I'm really happy about that. Glad that the motor can be changed or the gearbox can be moved. That's awesome. And there we go. I just got the 2 screws for the front and the back on. Now, while I was doing that, I noticed that, and I'm doing this on all learning with you guys. These 2 screws here that hold the center of the body don't line up anymore. Now that's because of the interior, because maybe they're not perfectly the same on either side when you flip it around, but the front and rear do. So it's locked down, obviously. Apart from that, it works. You don't really need this center part anyway to hold it down, but you could also make up your own mount if you want. And you just got to move the ESC, I think, on the other side, because it was just rubbing on the bottom of the body. But all in all, just got to move the ESC. Can't really see it. Oh, there it is there. Just to where a spot where it's got a bit more room. But as you can see, it's on. I'm super pumped about that. I'm glad that it can be moved. I'm glad that I could answer your guys' questions. So I think that'll end this video. It's gone long enough. Anything else you would like to know about it, leave the comments down below. What do you think about this car? Yes, it has its downfalls, but it also has its positive. The price point, it's gone up $20 US now, so it's $220 I believe, but that's just supply and demand. But you know, as a general crawler, someone getting into it or wants to mod it, like I just did there, like I could show you how easy it is, a bit of hacking, a bit of that, a bit of this, it can be done. So if you like the video, give it a good old thumbs up, please. If you haven't, please subscribe, click the notification bell so you get notified of all the good stuff. And just really quickly say thanks to all the subscribers. It pushes me along to do all these videos. You know, they take time and effort and stuff like that, but I enjoy doing it. So, and check out the link. The link, it's an affiliate link, like a lot of the other ones for GearBest or Banggood, like this one is from. And all that is, I get a little bit of a kickback if you purchase it through that link. It doesn't cost you any extra. It just helps me out in the channel, and that's all. It's good, you know. Got to buy all this cool stuff. Helps purchasing it all. I don't expect anything. You know, the team here, we all buy it ourselves with our own money, but every little bit helps, you know. Oh, that's my new toy, CBR 600RR09 model. But yeah, appreciate it, guys. Any more questions, leave them down below. I hope you liked the video. Sorry it's a little bit not the best editing and all that kind of stuff, but a little bit raw. Hope you like this style of video, getting a little bit dirty, you know, what it's all about. Just having fun and just seeing what we can do. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video, guys, and have fun.